Over the chapel stands and out of the park. Yes, yes. You are listening to the Sports Spotlight right here on Radio Azad. I'm your host, Rizwan, and we're going to take you right back to where we were. You know, we are going to take a little bit of a break from the ball by ball updates, but do want to get you caught up. So at the end of the power play, after that last over by Bumrah, in which he gave up 5 runs. So now, Jasprit Bumrah, 2 overs, 9 runs he's given up, and he has a wicket. A pretty big wicket. As Bumrah had gotten Rachin Ravindra. Right, not the big wicket, but still, he came in to do what he needed to do. Akshar Patel took the big wicket, Finn Allen, but Jasprit Bumrah, 2 overs, 9 runs, 1 wicket, which left New Zealand at the end of 6 at 52 at a loss of 3, 8.66 run rate, 14.5 required run rate. Consequently, the winning probability for India was at almost, I said I was going to pivot from from doing the ball by ball updates. If the India win probability got to 99%, well, it almost got there. It was at 98.8. But then in that 7th over, Seifert, as I said, I think at this point, the last line of defense is that Seifert wicket. Varun Chakravarti came in and Seifert hit him for 2 big sixes, getting 16 runs in that 7th over to increase the run rate to almost 10, 9.7. And inching up their win probability a little bit. So Hardik Pandya comes in for the 8th over with Chapman and Seifert. And after a single each, there's a dot ball on the 3rd delivery, and Chapman is gone. Chapman is bowled out by Hardik Pandya. And now, that might, nope, it's not quite at 99%. But man, that is big. With Chapman gone, I would be shocked if anyone but Daryl Mitchell comes in. Daryl Mitchell should be coming in. I don't believe Santner is going to promote himself up ahead of Daryl Mitchell here. So Daryl Mitchell and Seifert, it's going to be up to them. See what they can do. All right, we're almost there. India's win probability 98.66. Now approaching 99. New Zealand sitting at 100 or needing 186 off of 74 deliveries. More and more unlikely. The required run rate now 15.08. How do we get here? I did say I was gonna cover that. So let's talk about what Team India did on the offensive end today. Was it substantially the same as the semifinal match? Not really. So they started with Samson and Abhishek Sharma. No surprise there. Samson faced all 6 of the deliveries in the first over and got 7 runs. After starting the match off with 4 dot balls, he hit a big 6, and then got a single to put 7 runs up in the first over. Gets another single on the first delivery. Abhishek, dot ball, and then a single. So at the end of the second over, they got 5 more. So they were India was at 12 for no loss. Run rate of 6 runs per over. Abhishek Sharma 4 deliveries, 3 runs. Samson 8 deliveries, 9 runs. So looking like, are things going to be different than the semifinal? Is New Zealand going to be able to corral this offensive juggernaut that is the batting lineup for Team India right now? Duffy came in for that third over and gave up. I think he gave up 3 fours in that over, and 2 of them were to Abhishek, 1 to Samson. They've scored 15 runs off that third over, getting to 27 for no loss after 3. Run rate jumping up to 9. Samson 11 deliveries, 14 runs. Abhishek 7 deliveries, 12 runs, and things looking different. Ferguson came in for that fourth over and just absolutely just got demolished in that one. Abhishek started off with a 4 and a 6, then got a single. Samson, after taking a wide, hits a big 6, and then Ferguson kind of falls apart, has 2 more wides, and then after a dot ball on the 5th, the last delivery, he gives up a 4. India with 24 runs in that fourth over, and all of a sudden, run rate jumped up to 12.75. India at 51 after just 4 overs. And Abhishek Sharma, 23 off of 10 deliveries, while Samson, 24 off of 14 deliveries. And the race was on. They brought in Matt Henry, and he starts things off with 2 wides. But still, I mean, he had 4 wides in this over. 4 wides, and on top of that, gives up a big 6 each to Abhishek and Samson. So in the 5th over, Henry gives up 21, and now India's run rate was 14.4, 72 at a loss of 0 at the end of the 5th. With still a power play over to come, Duffy came in, and Duffy was taken out frequently by Abhishek. On the first 3 deliveries, a 4, a 6, and a 4. Then he gets a double and then hits another 4, and finally got a dot ball on that last delivery. But at that point, this was already the highest power play of this World Cup. India, at the end of the power play, 6 overs, were sitting at 92 at no loss. Abhishek already had his 50 on 19 deliveries. When he hit that 4, it was really his 18 ball 50, and then which was followed by the dot ball. And Samson, no slouch either, 33 off of 17. And it looked like the match was just done. So Santner finally comes in after the power play, starts off with 3 dots, gives up a 4 and a couple of singles, but a great over considering. Right, India's run rate was 15.33 at the end of the power play, and Santner giving up only 6 in that 7th, brought down the run rate to 14. And then Rachin Ravindra, on the first delivery of the 8th over, gets Abhishek. He gets Abhishek to nick one back to Seaford, and the crowd fell a little silent. You're thinking, oh boy, you've got this lead, but man, New Zealand can score in bunches, so you still need to score quite a bit more. Well, Ishan Kishan comes in, double, double, dot, 4, 4. All of a sudden, he's faced 5 balls, scored 12. They get 12 runs with that wicket. Strike rate, the run rate drops down to 13.75, but still, India 110 at a loss of 1 after 8, well in control. Santner comes back and has himself another good over, 5 runs to drop down the run rate to 12.77, 115 at a loss of 1 after 9 overs for India. Jimmy Neesham comes in, and after giving up a double to Samson, he gives up a 4, a single, a 4 to Ishan, a single, gives up 12 runs, run rate right about where it was, 12.7. After 10, India well in control. And now they could open up on Santner also. Santner comes in, single, single, and then a big 6 to Ishan. Big 6. And then on the last delivery of that over, Samson gets his half century. All in all, they scored 10 in that over. The run rate drops again to 12.45, but India 137 at 1. Samson with his half century on 33 deliveries. Ishan Kishan sitting at 27 off of 12. And then Ferguson came in. After a bad first over, they brought him back for the 12th, and it was more of the same. Samson just absolutely took him to task. The first 2 deliveries were big 6s. Then he gets a single, and Ishan takes a strike, and he hits him for a 6. Then he takes a single, and Samson hits him for a 4. 24 more runs given up by Ferguson in the 12th. I mean, look, I think all of New Zealand bowling had something to do with this loss, but if you were to pick one, it was Ferguson. 2 overs, 48 runs in those 2 overs. India 161 at a loss of 1. And then it really, as I said, all the bowlers had a hand in it. Henry comes back in, and after a dot ball gives up a big 6, then 4 singles. 10 runs in this one, 171 for 1 after 13. And it's just like nothing was working at that point, right? Rachin Ravindra comes back in, and after a couple of singles, back to back to back 6s to Sanju Samson. Sanju Samson now 88 off of 44 deliveries. And Ishan Kishan inching closer to that half century, 43 off of 19. 20 runs in that one. 20 runs from Ravindra. Taking India after 14 to 191. Santner comes in, no different. I mean, look, he's a good bowler, but even the best of the best, unless your name is Jasprit Bumrah, I guess, even the best of the best make mistakes. And he made one mistake. Ishan deposited it for a 6. And then on the last delivery, Ishan gets a boundary. Ishan, 24 balls, 54 runs. He gets his half century. Samson at 89, looking for that half century for Ishan. But Samson looking for that century, getting 12 runs in the 15th over off of Santner. Santner finishes the day 4 overs, 33 runs, no wickets. Samson once again falls short of the century on the first delivery from Neesham in the 16th over. At 89, he's gone. But 46 balls, 89 runs, great day, strike rate of 193.47. Not carrying, but largely contributing to India's batting prowess there. Hardik Pandya came in, and after a couple of dot balls, gets a single, gives the strike to Ishan, and then Neesham. So after Neesham took out Samson on the first delivery, I said that, I mentioned that in my post a little while ago before the show that if it were not for Nisham's 16th over, he took back-to-back wickets on the last two deliveries of Ishan and then Surya Kumar Yadav for a golden duck. And all of a sudden, Nisham is sitting at 2 overs, 13 runs with 3 wickets. Only 1 run given up in that one with those 3 wickets. India 204 for 4 with 4 overs left. Again, at that point I said 250 was still in play, but New Zealand could hope to hold India to about 225, but probably was going to be 235 to 240 at that point. Duffy came in, and it was a quiet over in the 17th. A bunch of singles and 1 double, 7 runs total. 18th, Nisham comes back, and again, dot ball to Hardik Pandya, a single. Tilak Verma takes a single, but then Pandya hits a double, and then a 4 before a single by Pandya. Finishes off the 18th over with 9 runs. India at 220. And then Henry came in, gave up a big 6 to Hardik Pandya, but then gets him on the next delivery. Right? From 220 with 2 overs left. And that wicket. You thought there was a chance. And there we go, friends. It is.
Not only is he strong, he's got a good bat, and when
yeah, it is over for New Zealand as Seifert, Varun Chakravarti came in at the beginning of the 9th over and took out Seifert. Seifert did get to his half century on 25 deliveries, and then he was actually, I think he got there a little earlier. But all in all, 52 runs for him off of 26 deliveries, strike rate of 200. But he's gone. And at this point, it's just a formality after the 9th over, 11 runs and that wicket. New Zealand was 83 for 5. 10th over from Hardik Pandya was a really, really good over. 5 runs for New Zealand, 88 for 5. Arshdeep comes in for the 11th, and Mitchell has hit him for 2 big 6s in this one, followed by a wide ball. So New Zealand, I mean, at this point, it ain't gonna happen. They're sitting at 102. They did get to their 100. They're sitting at 102 at a loss of 5 in the 11th over, needing 154 from 56 balls. So not happening. All right. We're going to take one more break, and then we're going to come back and swivel the spotlight away since this match is done and dusted. India's win probability now 99.82%. So we're going to talk about other sports. We'll let you know as the wickets fall. We'll let you know if the match is over while we're still on the air, or if somehow New Zealand is able to limp along to the full 20 overs. We'll keep you posted on all of that. You're listening to the Sports Spotlight right here on Radio Azad with your host, Rizwan. We'll be back after this short break.
This is Radio Azad, streaming in Dallas, Fort Worth, and all around the world.